Playfully tightening his arms, Corey tipped his head to look into the little boy's face. He's not going anywhere. But Scott was.
I want Doritos, he demanded, squirming. Mommy promised.
Corey swung him down and bent over him without fully releasing his hold. I thought your mom was busy with Jennifer. He shook his little head.
Jenny's sleeping. She always does that.
She's only 2. You slept a lot when you were only 2.
I did not,
Scott said. His legs were already working, miming the run he'd effect the minute he was free. Sure you did. All little kids sleep a lot.
Not me,
he said, then wiggled so vigorously that he'd snaked free before Corey knew what had happened. In that instant, watching the boy dash full speed toward the house, Corey fully believed him. Of the 24 hours Corey had been at the Druckers, Scott hadn't been still for more than 6, and then only when exhaustion had taken its toll. He was a bundle of energy, demanding, but fun. Corey could almost understand why Alan had settled down, if settling down was what one would call the 3-ring circus that was the Druckers' home. Maybe he'd settle down himself one day. One day, way, way, way down the road. Content with that decision, he sauntered in the direction Alan had gone. Everything's here, Corinne Fremont said, resting a slim hand on the large manila envelope she'd placed on the desk in Alan's den. I finished the last of the tables this morning. Alan was leaning against the desk, his arms crossed over his chest, his mouth drawn into a straight line. Today's Sunday. Tell me you spent all day Saturday doing the analysis. She lifted one shoulder in a sheepish shrug. I spent all day Saturday doing the analysis. He suspected she'd spent more than the day. All-nighters weren't rare in their line of work, particularly when a client wanted the finished report yesterday. You didn't have to do that, Corey. You have a right to your own life once in a while. I know. But it was my fault the packet wasn't ready on Friday, and we have to make the presentation tomorrow. It wasn't your fault. It was Jonathan Alter's fault. Jonathan was my responsibility. I should have been on top of him. I guess I assumed that he knew. Well, he's the computer expert, and he came with good recommendations. He came with the recommendation of my brother-in-law, who happens to be Jonathan's 3rd cousin. If anyone's at fault for hiring the kid, it's me. He was Phi Beta Kappa at Amherst. Alan snickered. For what it's worth. Book learning is one thing, practical application another. A computer is only as good as its programmer, and if he doesn't know what to feed it, we're in trouble. I can't afford to have people like that aboard. I'll have to sit him down. Don't fire him, Corinne pleaded softly. It was his first mistake. But Alan was shaking his head. His first mistake was walking in like he owned the place. His second mistake was being so cocksure of himself that he didn't think to ask questions when he should have. His third mistake was handing you worthless printouts, then turning around and taking off for the weekend. Maybe a talk with him will be enough. He'll learn. He's bright, and computer programming is his specialty. All he needs to learn is how to apply our data and where. He needs a lot more than that. But he has potential. She pressed on with her argument, unaware of the figure that had silently materialized at the door. Corey leaned against the jamb and studied the 2 people as they talked. On the one hand, there was Alan, wearing a plaid shirt, pleated khaki shorts, and deck shoes. He was the image of the successful suburbanite. His dark hair was expertly styled, if casually mussed. His skin bore the bronze of a recent trip to Cape Cod. Tall and fit, he looked even more commanding than he had in their younger days, though those days had never seen the businesslike expression he wore now. Then there was Corinne. At least he assumed it was Corinne, since there was no other woman in the room, and if it was a work matter she'd come on, she was business all the way.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it. at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.